Microsoft Build 2025, Reimagining the Software Development Lifecycle with AI. At Microsoft Build 2025, one announcement quietly redefined the future of development. GitHub Copilot is no longer just a suggestion engine inside the IDE. It's now an asynchronous, agentic collaborator, capable of executing multi-step tasks, coordinating with system APIs, and reporting back with real-time context. This is an autocomplete 3.0. It's the emergence of an AI teammate who can work while you sleep. For years, Copilot has sat quietly in the corner of the IDE, watching your keystrokes and offering completions. Helpful, yes. Transformational? Not quite. But with the new GitHub Copilot agent, Microsoft has flipped the relationship. Developers no longer just prompt the assistant. They now delegate entire tasks. Test this API integration. Refactor this module. Write docs for this function. The agent runs asynchronously, checks its own work, and returns with results. It's an operational leap from reactive coding to proactive delegation. And this isn't a standalone gadget. It's deeply embedded into GitHub's developer ecosystem, from actions to pull requests. The agent can file issues, open PRs, trigger CI workflows, and contextually evaluate its own impact. Microsoft isn't just making Copilot smarter, it's making it situated. That's the difference between a chatbot and a co-developer. This move echoes a larger trend we're observing across enterprise engineering teams, the shift from augmentation to accountable automation. According to the Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 58% of enterprise software leaders now expect AI copilots to evolve into autonomous contributors, and over 40% already have formal plans to integrate task-based AI agents into their SDLC workflows. But here's the kicker. GitHub Copilot's new capabilities are being rolled out with auditability and feedback loops built in. It's not just building, it's learning from usage patterns, errors, and reviewer inputs. For enterprises burned by black box Gen AI tools, this is a welcome step toward governance without friction. One CIO in a Greyhound field note from a Fortune 100 manufacturer put it bluntly: "We're done with copilots that need babysitting." If GitHub's agent can write, test, and submit code and hold itself accountable in the repo, that's a game changer. The subtext of this launch is even more powerful than the agent itself. Microsoft is reimagining what it means to collaborate with code. And in doing so, it's repositioning GitHub not just as a hosting platform, but as the operating environment for autonomous software development. At Greyhound Research, we believe this Copilot shift marks a foundational moment in enterprise developer tooling, from linear keystroke acceleration to nonlinear, context-rich task orchestration. This isn't a smarter IDE, it's a smarter teammate. Developer sovereignty meets AI, Windows Foundry's local inference ambition. If GitHub Copilot's agent marks a shift in how developers work, Windows AI, Foundry speaks to where and who controls that work. At Build 2025, Microsoft made an unusually developer-first and sovereignty-aware announcement, a local-first AI development platform that brings model inferencing, tuning, and deployment directly onto the Windows client stack. That might sound like a niche capability, but in enterprise terms, it's a provocation. It questions the entire premise of AI needing to be cloud-tethered to be useful. It asks, what if your AI agents didn't need to call home? Windows AI Foundry, together with Foundry Local, enables developers to run open-source models on their own machines, fine-tune them against local datasets, and deploy them in edge-ready configurations. With a growing appetite among CIOs to decentralize AI workloads, this launch arrives with impeccable timing. According to the Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 63% of CIOs globally are exploring AI at the edge use cases, from compliance-sensitive LLM workloads to latency-constrained inference in industrial environments. This isn't just Microsoft being generous. It's Microsoft being strategic. For years, the company has battled the perception that its innovation lives on Azure, while Windows is simply a delivery vehicle. With AI Foundry, Windows gets its swagger back, not as a legacy OS, but as a modern AI workstation, fully equipped to handle the dev-to-deploy lifecycle on device. Even more telling is Microsoft's inclusion of simple model APIs for vision and language tasks, lowering the barrier for devs to plug AI into apps without wrangling ONNX, TensorRT, or obscure deployment stacks. This isn't a pitch to AI engineers. It's a nod to every full-stack dev who's had to fake their way through a Hugging Face tutorial at 2 a.m. And the model openness matters. Foundry Local supports both open-source LLMs and proprietary models brought in by the enterprise. This unlocks a crucial capability most vendors conveniently overlook: the ability to convert, inspect, and control models before they go live, all within your local dev environment. In highly regulated industries, this is more than convenience. It's legal coverage. One Greyhound field note from a CTO at a Canadian provincial health agency summed it up: "Our data isn't going to the cloud, full stop. Foundry Local gives us the runway to prototype safely, run inference offline, and still feel like we're part of the modern AI ecosystem." That's rare. The enterprise appeal here isn't about performance benchmarks or GPU utilization. It's about AI autonomy. When you can fine-tune models locally, run inference without a network call, and deploy with full observability, you gain what cloud-based pipelines rarely offer: provenance and control. At Greyhound Research, we believe this launch marks Microsoft's clearest departure from AI monoculture and its strongest endorsement yet of distributed, sovereign AI development. It's not just about empowering developers. It's about disempowering dependency. The Azure AI Factory, composable models, evaluated in context. For all the talk of AI democratization, the real battle isn't just about who can access models. It's about who can govern them. And at Microsoft Build 2025, Azure AI Foundry stepped onto the stage with a clear proposition: enterprise-grade control over model operations, from selection to deployment, with tooling that speaks the language of scale. Let's get something straight. Microsoft isn't just extending Azure's model catalog. It's productizing model governance. Azure AI Foundry is pitched as a unified platform where developers can build AI agents, run evaluations, select from competing models, and route traffic based on performance and policy. That last part? That's not developer candy, that's enterprise oxygen. Two standout tools do the heavy lifting here. First, the Model Leaderboard, a benchmarking interface that allows developers and architects to compare models based on enterprise-relevant metrics. Not just BLEU scores or parameter counts, but latency under load, compliance flags, and observability coverage. For enterprises burned by LLM bloat or hallucination-prone rollouts, this is a long overdue moment of accountability. Second, the Model Router, which allows apps and agents to dynamically select which model to use at runtime, based on real-time variables like user geography, model availability, or policy triggers. This is not a feature. It's infrastructure-level insurance. It enables developers to hedge against model failure, route around outages, and satisfy compliance mandates with surgical precision. And here's the kicker: Azure AI Foundry isn't just for Microsoft models. It's also onboarding external offerings, including Grok 3 and Grok 3 Mini from xAI. That's a strong signal that Microsoft is less interested in platform lock-in and more invested in being the control plane for enterprise AI, no matter where the models come from. Per Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 49% of global CIOs are now looking to consolidate their AI experimentation pipelines onto a single governance platform. Not because it's cheaper, but because the audit burden of fragmented AI stacks is crushing teams post-deployment. In that context, Azure AI Foundry offers a kind of narrative relief, a sense that the model chaos can be tamed, evaluated, and made policy compliant without shutting down innovation. One Greyhound field note from a global telco CTO made the point crystal clear: we're fine with experimenting. That's not the problem. What we're not fine with is a model that passes testing in a dev sandbox, then behaves differently in prod, and ends up in a GDPR review. Foundry's router and leaderboard give us guardrails without killing speed. It's easy to mistake this launch as just another MLOps wrapper. It's not. It's an alignment engine, a way to ensure that model performance, business logic, and compliance architecture move in lockstep. And it answers the question every CIO is now being asked by their board: what's our model strategy, and how do we prove it works under stress? At Greyhound Research, we believe Azure AI Foundry's true innovation isn't in its models, it's in its posture. It treats model diversity as inevitable and model governance as essential. That makes it one of the few platforms to acknowledge the emerging reality of enterprise AI. What you deploy is no longer just code. It's compliance risk, a user experience, and a brand representation. And you need a factory that builds all of that in. Beyond IDEs and APIs, Rearchitecting the AI-native dev lifecycle. If you've been following Microsoft's AI journey, you'll know that its vision isn't just about sprinkling intelligence across existing products. It's about redefining the structure of software creation itself. With this year's build announcements, we're seeing something deeper: a move from toolchain augmentation to lifecycle rearchitecture, an SDLC where AI isn't an accessory, but an organizing principle. Historically, the software development lifecycle has been stubbornly linear: plan, code, test, deploy, repeat. Even with Agile and DevOps, the steps haven't changed much. They've just gotten faster. But with GitHub Copilot as an autonomous agent, Windows AI Foundry enabling on-device fine-tuning, and Azure AI Foundry bringing real-time model governance, Microsoft is making a radical assertion. Every step of the SDLC can now be made context-aware and AI-assisted. In this AI-native lifecycle, planning isn't just done by humans writing user stories. It's co-authored by AI agents that understand historical backlog data, bug patterns, and cross-project dependencies. Coding isn't a solitary act of keystrokes. It's a delegation loop where the developer sets objectives and the Copilot agent does the legwork, returning outputs for review. Testing isn't a manual QA bottleneck. It's policy-based runtime evaluation, routed through the Azure Model Router. Deployment is no longer a blind trust exercise. It's a governed release gated by leaderboard benchmarks and risk thresholds. The connective tissue here is orchestration, not just across APIs, but across personas, policies, and platforms. The developer is no longer the only user of the SDLC. Compliance teams, security architects, and product owners are all first-class citizens in this new rhythm. And Microsoft's tooling is beginning to reflect that. Agents that respect permissions, environments that are audit-friendly by default, and local workflows that aren't second-class citizens to the cloud. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 54% of enterprise tech leaders are actively re-evaluating their SDLC toolchain for GenAI native upgrades. Not because their current stack is broken, but because it's blind to risk, usage context, and the explainability demands of post-deployment governance. The SDLC of the future must be responsive, traceable, and collaborative, with AI stitched into its core. A Greyhound field note from the VP of Engineering, a European automotive OEM, captured this mindset bluntly. We're tired of adding AI as a plug-in afterthought. What we need is a dev environment that treats AI as a primary actor, not an aftermarket accessory. What Microsoft is offering through Copilot, Foundry Local, and Azure AI Foundry isn't just a buffet of tools. It's a blueprint for AI-aware software engineering. It's a shift from code-centric pipelines to outcome-driven systems, from IDE-bound assistants to environment-aware agents, from shadow AI to auditable, composable AI by design. And let's not miss the meta move here. Microsoft is seeding these changes across GitHub, Windows, and Azure, the three loci of modern development. This isn't a vendor patching gaps. It's a platform vendor reshaping the very canvas on which enterprise software is built. At Greyhound Research, we believe this section of the build announcements will age the best, not because it demos well, but because it reflects the emerging reality of enterprise software teams. The SDLC is no longer just about delivering features. It's about managing complexity, compliance, and context all at once. And that means rethinking not just what we build, but how AI helps us build responsibly, repeatedly, and resiliently. Not another Copilot update, a ground-up reboot of the SDLC. It would be tempting even, to dismiss Microsoft's Build 2025 announcements as a natural evolution of Copilot and Azure. Another agent, another platform, another attempt to retrofit AI into legacy developer workflows. But that would be a misread. What we're witnessing here is an iteration. It's reimagination, not a repackaging of AI into the existing SDLC, but a ground-up reboot of how software is conceived, built, and governed in an enterprise context. Microsoft has done something rare in today's frenzied GenAI market. It's blended usability with architectural ambition. Copilot's shift from in-editor autocomplete to asynchronous agent isn't just a productivity bump. It's a reframing of human-machine collaboration in software engineering. Windows AI Foundry's edge-first approach doesn't just decentralize AI, it dignifies developer sovereignty in an age of cloud consolidation. Azure AI Foundry's composable, governable model strategy doesn't just streamline ops, it acknowledges the polymodel reality CIOs are now waking up to, where every AI choice is a compliance risk waiting to happen. What ties all these threads together is a posture we've long argued for at Greyhound Research. AI that's not just intelligent, but accountable. AI that shows its work. AI that can be delegated to, not just prompted. AI that integrates into the audit trail, not hides from it. And the message to CIOs is clear. This isn't about sprinkling AI into old workflows. It's about retiring the idea of old workflows entirely. The AI-native SDLC isn't a tooling refresh. It's an operating model rethink. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, Nearly 60% of CIOs are now treating Gen AI not as a project, but as an architectural concern, something that reshapes their SDLC, compliance processes, and developer workflows simultaneously. And in that light, Microsoft's Build 2025 announcements are timely, grounded, and unusually coherent. The GitHub Copilot agent isn't just another AI wrapper. It's a statement of intent. The Windows AI Foundry isn't a niche tool for hobbyists. It's a sovereignty play. And Azure AI Foundry isn't a repackaged MLOps suite. It's a strategic bid to be the control plane for enterprise AI at scale. One final Greyhound field note from a CIO at a Fortune 50 global retailer captured the tone perfectly. Everyone's launching copilots. Microsoft just quietly launched a new software development doctrine, one where AI is accountable, contextual, and doesn't phone home for every decision. At Greyhound Research, we believe this is the bar every vendor must now meet. Not just AI-powered features, but AI-infused architecture. Not just developer productivity, but enterprise-proof development. Because in 2025, CIOs aren't looking for copilots. They're looking for co-architects. Analyst in focus, Sanchit Gogia. Sanchit Gogia, or SVG as he is popularly known, is a globally recognized technology analyst, innovation strategist, digital consultant, and board advisor. SVG is the chief analyst, founder and CEO of Greyhound Research, a global, award-winning technology research, advisory, consulting, and education firm. Greyhound Research works closely with global organizations, their CXOs, and the board of directors on technology and digital transformation decisions. SVG is also the founder and CEO of the House of Greyhound, an eclectic venture focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. Read about SVG. Copyright policy. All content contained on the Greyhound Research website is protected by copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published, or broadcast without the prior written permission of Greyhound Research or, in the case of third-party materials, the prior written consent of the copyright owner of that content. You may not alter, delete, obscure, or conceal any trademark, copyright, or other notice appearing in any Greyhound Research content. We request our readers not to copy Greyhound Research content and not republish or redistribute them, in whole or partially, via emails or republishing them in any media, including websites, newsletters, or intranets. We understand that you may want to share this content with others, so we've added tools under each content piece that allow you to share the content. If you have any questions, please get in touch with our community relations team at connect@thofker.com.